La la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la. Welcome to my morning, welcome to my day. Yes, I'm the one responsible, I made it just this way. To make myself some pictures, see what they might bring. I think I made it perfectly, I wouldn't change a thing. La la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la. Welcome to my happiness, you know it makes me smile, and it pleases me to have you here for just a little while we open up the spaces, try to break some chains, and if the truth is told, they will never come again. La la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la. Welcome to my morning, welcome to my day. Yes, I'm the one responsible, I made it just this way. To make myself some pictures, see what they might bring. I think I made it perfectly, I wouldn't change a thing. La la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la. Finding the on button, important. Welcome everybody.
Welcome.
Is there anybody here new for the first time?
Hey, all right.
Yes. Did you get your heart?
I did, thank you.
Yes.
Nora.
Did you get a
Nora.
heart? Okay. He needs a heart.
Oh, yes. Well, we will get you a heart.
This is
I
Dave.
saw you come in.
This is Dave.
Dave. Well, welcome, Dave.
Hello, Dave.
Shall I explain it in just a minute?
Thank you, Dave.
First, we're going to welcome the people that make this happen every day. Sally and Jamie for the music. Yogi Sada Simran.
Yes, ma'am.
Woo-hoo. Yes. Board member of the week is Kimberly.
Yeah, Kimberly.
Chaplains will be available.
I'll volunteer if she didn't make it.
Somebody would step up. Just
She?
leave it anyway.
Divine order, no.
Youth Ed Champion, if some kids walk in, is Cindy. Hospitality is Ann and Mary Ellen. And then we'll all be the spick and span angels.
Okay.
And of course, our most important for our technology and streaming, Mark. And our office assistant, Susan, who is off on a retreat for the weekend. Something to do with board stuff. And another song.
It's always exciting.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am. Letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when it seems I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, I can hear Spirit gently say, there is only love, there is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
Our Red Heart welcome. If you are new today at Unity of Bremerton, we welcome you in the spirit of love. We want you to know, no matter where you are on your journey of faith, you are always welcome here. We know that the world is a better place when we are willing to share our hearts. We give you this red heart as a symbol of steadfast spirit that lives within each of us, and we ask you to carry this symbol as a member of the Red Heart Fellowship. Let it be a reminder that the love of God is always with you and to share your heart wherever you go. The red heart is a symbol of fellowship in the world. It can spread love one heart at a time. Let's start the movement here. And for those who are visiting us for the first time today, we want you to know that our speakers are different each week, so please join us again 2 more times so that you can get to know us better. And as far as our Unity happenings, they're pretty regularly in the bulletin. On October 1st, Reverend Joanna Gabriel and musicians Aaron English and Elizabeth Pereza. And then on the first Tuesday of the month, October 3rd, Suzanne Auclair will do her New Moon Circle. The spiritual talks include many readings. And then on October 8th is Leo Brody, who will do our music and speak as well. And then the 15th is Karen Hamilton with Sally and Jamie again as musicians. And then on October 22nd, after the service at 12, we'll have our annual congregational meeting, and it's open to all. And it's really important everybody attend. We'll be electing new board members as well during that. And now for our Board of Trustees report.
Thank you. Okay, happy fall day. Okay, as Nora said, our annual congregational meeting will be on October 22nd. All congregants are invited to attend. Only members will be allowed to vote, and members will be voting this time on the budget for next year, and new board members that we need to bring in, and possibly some other issues. Postcards are going to be mailed out by October 7th to the members. Anybody interested in becoming a board member should talk to the nominating committee, which would be Nora Clemens or Sally McAllister.
She knows now.
And there's 2.
We want to thank you for completing the feedback forms in your bulletins every week. That gives us some fantastic information, and Your sharing is very helpful. Please continue to fill those out for us. You can put them in the bag in the fellowship area. Technology envelopes are available on the seats for those who want to make a separate contribution that goes directly to the technology fund. These funds are being held separate from the Sunday contributions. If you're wanting to know what we're doing, there's a list on the bulletin board of all the technology goodies that we need. And we are trying to get to that point of about $6,000 is our estimated cost for the new technology pieces that we need. And right now, our balance, we're up to $1,640.82. So we're climbing. The Seattle Peace Project is ongoing through September. The Seattle Peace Project is enlisting volunteers to spend time each day meditating or praying for peace and harmony. It's in Seattle from June through September this month. There's a flyer on the bulletin board, or you can go to hhresearch.org for more details. We want to also remind you that we are live streaming our services, so that we ask you to keep your conversations down because it is being picked up, especially during our candle lighting. Unity of North Kitsap has a weekly meditation on Tuesday nights. And on Tuesday, the 26th, let's see there, at 7 p.m. Now I'm going to really mess up what this is called. It's the practice of Ho'oponopono. It's Hawaiian. So join Leslie Hamill for this Hawaiian spiritual practice that invokes the amazing healing powers of repentance, forgiveness, gratitude, and love. And as Nora said, Joanna will be back with us next Sunday, and she did send us a really nice thank you card too, so that was sweet of her. We love having her here. The posting for our new open minister position has been posted on Unity Worldwide. The website, and it will be included in a bi-weekly newsletter soon. We'll keep you updated on that process as it moves along, and our next board meeting after today will be on October 8th. So the board will continue to keep you updated on anything, and if you have any questions or concerns, let one of the board members know. Thank you much.
Kimberly. Now we're going to light the Christ candle. This candle represents the divine light within each of us. And now we're going to say our mission statement, which is on the screen. Together?
We are a welcoming community supporting our mutual quest for spiritual truth.
And now it's time for handshakes and hugs. Oh, and we need to say our invocation first. There is one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And now we'll greet each other good morning. Good morning.
Laurel, this is how was it? Where'd you go? Nice to meet you. You were down the mud.
Good morning. How you doing?
They had it kind of like a sling, but they had. You got a better memory to look at and see the teeth at least, and you know, that was very interesting. It's fine. Other fossils and interesting things too, so it's really great. September 65 years old. Actually, and it's always really considered one of the first creatures. Right. There's his show.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, Billy.
Indeed. There's a show I've seen several times.
How you doing, love?
Hey.
We're being
And he talks about frost in Alaska.
I'm gonna have to get you a razor for your birthday.
Well, there you go.
It's got a special name on it. She took a nice picture of me. She said, look at my tattoo. It's a big tattoo. That's all I will by the time the day's over.
Yeah, that's right.
Ammonite. My daughter got it. Hey, girl.
How you doing?
Open the shell, so that's
I know.
what's inside.
I know.
Then they have something on the outside.
How are you?
Yeah.
Everybody, so we're back
Yeah,
here.
I've been.
How much your drink?
I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of is love. I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of is love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. I start my day with peace. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. I start my day with peace. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. I start my day with joy. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. I start my day with joy. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy.
Today's daily word just spoke to me this morning extra hard, extra loud, extra vociferously, and just really love it. One presence. I am one with God, open and receptive to divine love, light, wisdom, and life. The presence and power of God is always with me, available to me in all situations. How empowering it feels to know that the same creative force responsible for extensive galaxies and brilliant sunrises is also a part of who I am. The more I cooperate by consciously acknowledging and allowing Spirit to work in and through me, the better things are in my life. God is the one presence. If I feel opposed, separate, or influenced negatively, it is because I have distanced or blocked myself from this goodness. If I feel separation, it is up to me to reopen my mind, heart, and life to the flow of good that is always seeking me. I affirm I am one with God, open and receptive to divine love, light, wisdom, and life. From Ephesians 4, verse 6. One God and Father of all, who is above all, and through all, and in all. I am one with God, open and receptive to divine love, light, wisdom, and life. And God does bless us.
And we shall cross that mighty river if we all go hand in hand. If we build our bridge together, on that other shore we'll stand. We shall cross that mighty river when we all get unified. We shall cross that mighty river by and by. And we shall cross that mighty river if we all go hand in hand. If we build our bridge together, on that other shore we'll stand. We shall cross that mighty river when we all get unified. Yes, we'll cross that mighty river by and by. One more time. We shall cross that mighty river if we all go hand in hand. If we build our bridge together, on that other shore we'll stand. We shall cross that mighty river when we all get unified. Yes, we shall cross that mighty river by and by.
Okay, every time I do this song, I always think of Daryl. This is how I learned this song, through Daryl, through the choir. I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry, all who dwell in dark and sin, my hand will save. I who made the stars of night, I will make their darkness bright. Who will bear my light to them? Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I, the Lord of wind and flame, I will tend the poor and lame. I will set a feast for them. My hand will save. Finest bread I will provide, till their hearts be satisfied. I will give my life to them. Whom shall I send? If you know it, sing along. Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I will hold your people in my heart. Thanks, Daryl.
Ditto.
Ditto.
Well, I'd like to introduce our speaker today. Sada Simran.
Does this come out?
Yes, yes.
They're short guy.
Well, I'm a big guy, I move around. And may I?
Yeah.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me. It was a beautiful ferry ride over from Seattle. And it was so lovely to hear when Cindy called me and asked me to come to speak. Unity has a very warm place in my heart. And it's amazing, as different as I look and the different practices that I practice, probably relative to you, how much we have in common. 10 years ago, I came up to Seattle and I married my high school sweetheart. And she said to me, well, we have to do something spiritual together. And of course, she's not a practicing Sikh like I am. And I says, well, what do you have in mind? She goes, well, there's this church down in South Lake Union. And I laughed. I said, honey, I don't do church. I haven't done church in 40 years. And she goes, no, you have to come down here. There was a Swami there last week. I said, okay. So there I am sitting in church, thinking, gosh, what are they thinking of me, And the message was beautiful, and it really was very similar to the messages that I live. And after service, I was looking around, and in Seattle Unity, we have these little altars for all the different religions of the world. And there was a picture over there, and this guy with a turban and a beard, and he was doing this to me. And that was Guru Nanak, who's the founder of the Sikh religion. So I go over there, I'm looking at that, I'm saying, hey, you gotta look at this, this is about the Sikhs. I mean, I didn't know anybody knew about Sikhs, And a lady came up to me, she goes, you're a Sikh, aren't you? I said, I am. She says, well, what we do here is we take these altars and we make these big tapestries. And if you look around the upper reaches of the sanctuary at Seattle Unity, there's these big tapestries. And she says, the next one we're going to do is for the Sikhs, and we're looking for a sponsor. And my wife's behind me. She goes, oh, we'll do that. So that's how I got started at Seattle Unity Church. And so I thought maybe I should write the minister a letter, let him know who I am and that I'd like to teach the yoga there. And so I did, and after service the next week, he came directly to me and he says, hey, we can't wait for you to teach us what you know. And I thought, wow, nobody said that to me before. So then I started teaching at the Seattle Unity Chapel. And when I first walked in there, I looked on the wall. It said, be still and know that I am God. And I thought, wow, that's what I do. I meditate. I meditate so I can still my mind so that I can hear my inner voice. And I believe in whatever spiritual path you're on, there's basically two things that everybody is looking for. How can I quiet my mind to the extent that I can hear the inner voice? And do I have the courage to act on that? And whatever your walk of life, whatever the religion, whatever you consider a spiritual path, I believe those are the two things that we're all looking for. And then when Marilyn was sharing the daily word today, there's one. The first words of the Sikh scripture are Ek Onkar. Ek means what? There's one creator of the creation. And then we go on to say Satnam. Truth is the name of this creator God. And as a yogi, I consider God the G, the O, and the D. That energy that generates life, organizes life, and delivers life. And that's how I look at this. Because I look at God as an energy. And I leverage the energy. Not in a selfish way, but in a way that can elevate my life. And I'm going to share with you a little bit of my story and how I got into this. But I wanted to let you know that Unity holds a very warm place in my heart, because they opened their arms to me when I came from, it was almost like another planet. And I said, oh, come on. And so now, you know, we have 9 classes a week at Unity. Classes are growing. We had a big event last night. We had 120 people. We filled the fellowship hall. I was telling Ron and Debbie, when I first started, there was no, I teach this Kundalini yoga, okay? It's a style of yoga. And it hadn't been taught in Seattle probably for at least a decade before I got there. So when I got there, there was no Kundalini yoga. Nobody knew about it. We would advertise it. We would put flyers up in as many windows as we could. And we'd have 1 or 2 people come and do a yoga class with us. And on Monday nights across the way in the library, Robbie Feinstock would teach Course in Miracles, and he would fill the place. There were 20, 30 people. So one night I was getting ready to start my class, and Robbie was sweet. Robbie actually married my wife and I at Seattle Unity Church.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. So, yeah, it's good. And so they knock on the chapel door, they opened up, and 30 people walk in, and he says, Sada, we just can't leave you hanging out here with no students. We wanted to come, we canceled our class, we wanted to come and support you.
Nice.
So, I mean, this is unity, you know? Yeah, it is. So I've been there for 10 years. I'm a member of Unity Church. I go to Unity service. And what I've also found is that to worship together, whether we're here, whether I'm in a Sikh Gurdwara, whether I'm on the other side of the world in India doing something, it's no different. There is an elevation of spirit when people come together to worship the divine. And I go away feeling that wholeheartedness when I leave a Unity service as when I leave a Sikh service. So, I mean, it's an interesting fact, isn't it? I never thought this. I grew up Catholic. I didn't grow up saying, oh, I want to be a Sikh. You know, I didn't even know what a Sikh was. But I'll tell you my story a little bit here. So I grew up in Renton, Washington. My father was the Renton High School football coach for 20 years in the 50s, 60s, and part of the 70s. They grew into the largest high school in the state at the time. He used to win state championships. So my life was football. My life was sports. I was an all-American kid. There wasn't a greater dinner on the table than pot roast and mashed potatoes and gravy and beans and all the good stuff, okay? Well, of course, I'm a practicing vegetarian now. So changes are made, you know. But in the 60s, with drugs, with alcohol, with all kinds of vices, I became very, very depressed, and I was looking for something to pull me out of this. I actually was a manic depressive, and I started practicing yoga, and I started to understand how breath could elevate my mood, and how I could stretch and move in my body in such a way that I would be more aligned with myself. And I wanted to do this all the time. So I mailed away for these yoga manuals. It was a very young organization. I was taking this yoga class from the University of Washington, the Free University. And it was 1975, so it was really kind of an interesting time. You either had to make a decision if you're going to go get a job or you're going to go do something else, okay? And I thought I was going to go do something else. But I was really kind of on a survival mode here. I was an alcoholic at the age of 24, and it wasn't heading in a direction. My life was tumbling downhill. So what I chose to do is when I mailed away for my yoga manuals, they also sent me a list of what they called yoga ashrams. These are communes that are yoga-based around the country, and there was one in Santa Barbara. And I had visited Santa Barbara when I was a young man, and I thought, gee, let's go to Paradise and just join a yoga ashram. So I sold everything I had, and I drove down to Santa Barbara, and that took me about 2 months to get there, so that's a whole other story. But the divine works in mysterious ways, and I actually got there. But when I rolled up to that address, knocked on the door, I found out that the gentleman who was running that ashram had graduated from UCSB, and so there's no ashram. So the only other address I had was this place just east of LA called Pomona. And that's where they published all the yoga manuals. So that's the address I had. So I went there, and at least it was outside of that yellow spot on the map of LA. I didn't want to go there. Little did I know it was the armpit of LA. All the smog would head over to Pomona. But anyway, so I joined this ashram.
You survived.
And they didn't know who I was. I was too shy to speak to my teacher in Seattle. So they asked me if I would stay at the Motel 6 for a few days, and I could work during the day with them just to see, wanted to see who I was. And they eventually said, okay, you're an okay person, you can join our ashram. And so I was packing up that morning to move in the ashram. I was having my last Marlboro cigarette. I was putting it out. I was talking to cigarette. I said, look, it's just not going to be both of us anymore, I had to make a choice. So I joined the ashram, and for 6 years I lived communally. The head of this organization was a yogi called Yogi Bhajan, and his international headquarters was in Los Angeles. So we would live in this commune. We all got jobs. A few of us pooled our money together. We got a beat-up truck. We got a lawnmower, an edger, and a blower. We were called mow, blow, and edge. And we went out and we mowed lawns, and this is how we paid the rent. The rest of the time we did yoga. The other times we learned how to become vegetarians. And it was very much of a new age vibe to it. The people that came through the ashram, most of them were crazy. So imagine being out on the fringe and how many crazies are out there coming through. But the people that stuck around were very high quality and very devoted people. And it was a calling of the soul to be there. It didn't make any sense to be there. Second day there, I put a turban on. Boy, did my mom freak out when she found out about that. So I come up to visit them Christmas. She goes, oh dear, why don't we take that helmet off just while you're here and you can be like the rest of us, she said. So much of the time I didn't know what I was doing, but it felt right to be here, to be there, to be practicing this yoga. We get up at 3 o'clock every morning. We take cold showers. There's a whole science to cold water therapy that's just fabulous. I do a cold shower every day. And we would do the yoga and we'd meditate. We'd meditate before the rising of the sun. It's called the ambrosial hours. It's when the psychic channels are open and it's easier to make that communion. And we always believe that prayer is the way that humankind speaks or mankind speaks to the God, whereas in meditation we open ourselves so that the God can speak to us. And we can call it the God, we can call it the self, we can call it soul, we can call it the divine inner voice, whatever name you give that. When I meditate, I find that communion. It's called shunya. Shunya means to listen. It's a deep, deep stillness and listening. And when I came to unity, I found the same words that Charles was writing about that stillness. Be calm and know that I am God. Good Lord. Maybe it's said in different words, but here I am practicing this esoteric Eastern religion, and it's practically identical. So I spent 6 years in an ashram. Then my teacher thought that instead of fooling around with the girls that came through the ashram, I should get married. So I was part of an arranged marriage. I'm very grateful for the marriage. It lasted 20 years. And I could give you all the reasons that it didn't work out. But it was beautiful. We worked. I got a job. We all worked for ourselves because we wore turbans. Nobody would hire us. Our families pretty much disowned us. We had ashrams in every major city in America. And it was kind of insane. But yet, I was lucky enough to have a spiritual teacher who was the real deal. And he didn't put up with any bullshit. And we read about all the stories about how these spiritual teachers take advantage and whatever. I happened to have a real teacher, and it was such a blessing. It was certainly nothing that I believe that I earned in this lifetime. But Yogi Bhajan was from India. He spoke broken English. It took a while to understand really what he was saying. And here I was, just the son of a football coach, trying to figure out why I'm even here. And my parents, I'd see them once every couple of years. None of the rest of the family would I see. But I lived this lifestyle. We call it healthy, happy, and holy. So we lived a vegetarian lifestyle. We worked on our health. The health was the foundation for this thing we call happiness. And what do we call holy? What is holy? Here's a yogic term for you. What do you think holy means?
Whole system.
Whole system, I like that. Thank you. Any other ideas?
Spiritual.
Spiritual, okay. Would you like the yogic terminology? Okay, yes. So, we have 9 holes in our body, huh? Count them.
Yeah.
Okay, when you consciously receive through those 9 holes, and also what comes out of those 9 holes is consciously done, you're a holy person. So this whole body system is meant to experience the divine. Every follicle of hair on your body, every piece of your anatomy, every organ, the way you speak, the way the mind works, is meant to experience the divine. And so the yogis understood the way into the mind was through the body. Rather than think your way through, have you ever tried to think your way through something and find yourself a few days later kind of in the same spot? Well, what brought you there was the layers of choices that you made throughout your life that brought you to this point right here today. Okay? Now, if those choices brought you here, why would you want to give them up? You survived, didn't you? But yet, as we grow as adults, some of those choices don't serve us. We want something more. But how do we change that belief system? And even that belief system that we're not even consciously aware of. Because many of these choices that we made that shaped our psyche were in our first couple of years of life. Well, the yogis found that if we vibrate a certain way through the body system, it affects the mind. We can affect the mind rather than going into the mind and trying to figure it out. Because really life isn't an intellectual experience. We tend in the West to intellectualize everything. We go to school, don't we, to memorize, and it's an intellectual experience. But if I can affect my mind to release those beliefs that don't serve me and vibrate a certain way that my mind comes into alignment with my soul, then that's what I want, because I want that relationship. So we would practice every morning before the sun came up mantras. You've all heard the word mantra before? Man means mind, tra means frequency. So the yogis found that when they repeated certain sounds, they could direct the mind into relationship with the soul. Okay?
A harmony?
What's that?
A harmony.
Mantras have a harmonic relationship to the soul. It's like sympathetic strings. You're a musician. So you tune up a certain string, it comes into right on key, and the other strings begin to vibrate. It's what happens with the soul. We call it lighting the candle of the soul body. When you vibrate these certain sounds, it's almost like the soul awakens. Now, the true purpose of mind is to be in service of soul. Do you believe that? Okay, so we're unity people, aren't we? We know. This is new thought stuff, okay. Heady stuff, but we got it, okay. But unfortunately, if we don't train the mind, then what does the mind do? It thinks, doesn't it? It's not going to stop thinking. So, of course, we have our fantasies over here. We have our impulses that we're dealing with over here. We have our imaginations over here. I mean, it's just going all over the place. But when you begin to meditate and the mind comes into alignment with soul, it recognizes its true nature. And when it does, all this noise that circulates around the mind. You know, that white noise we hear all the time, those thoughts, tends to be purged out. Because it's really not the true nature of mind to have that. And also, when mantra's developing that relationship with soul, that becomes foremost in the mind. And everything else doesn't have the grip on the mind that it used to. And that's how meditation works for me. And I've been doing this for many, many years. The other great teacher that I have is breath. My reality is delivered to me through the power, the depth, and the quality of my breath. I believe that the depth of my experience at any given moment is relative to how deeply I'm breathing in that moment. And what is the quality of my breath? Am I breathing wholeheartedly? Am I breathing fearlessly? Is my breath full? Because when we breathe consciously, the mind has no recourse but to follow the intention of the breath. Mind follows breath. As breath follows mind when we're not conscious of our breath. Have you ever been afraid and you get that shallow breath? Because breath is following that emotion, isn't it? But if we can do the converse, the mind will surrender to the intention of the breath. So I practice that. That's what I do. That's what I teach. I teach breath and I teach sound, the two great teachers of Kundalini Yoga. Oh, we're going to stretch like this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and you feel good in your body, and the glandular system comes into balance. But really, the reason people come back to the type of yoga that I teach is they want to chant this sound. And again, it's no different than what St. John told us. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The word, the sound, the vibration. We're a product of the Big Bang, is that correct? Billions of, even Western science tells us that, okay? That vibration manifested. Here we are, okay? We carry that same elementary vibration. Today I'm going to play a gong for you. That's the sound of creation. It's why it has such a deep, resonating quality within each of us. It's a non-intellectual instrument. There's no melody to it. The mind, after a while, just can't follow it and says, to heck with it. I'm going to just relax and let it just go. But that's when the gong begins to work its magic, because it goes to the body system and it's like a vibrational massage on the cellular level. So what does that mean? It means that it brings balance to us in a very elementary level. And what happens in balance? Healing happens, doesn't it? And when we come into balance and the basic natural order of things come into play, we feel all right, don't we? It's when we're out of balance that disease and all this kind of, and sickness and worry and everything happens. So I'm going to play that. I'm rambling here, but how's my time? Oh, there it goes. What do I have? Go for it, keep going. Okay. So here I am in Los Angeles, okay, and I've got this great teacher. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Yogi Bhajan because it's something that's kind of unique to me. I had a spiritual teacher, okay? He wasn't my guru, okay? My guru. You've heard of that? Okay, guru means darkness, guru means light. Okay, that which dispels darkness is guru. A marketing guru, a great teacher, this kind of guru. Okay, my guru is sound and breath. The Shabad guru, Shabad means the word, Pavan guru, Pavan means prana, the life force, okay? That's the guru that I worship. But I had a spiritual teacher that directed me continually to that, continually to my practice, continually to my higher self. A mantra of a Kundalini Yoga teacher is I'm not a person, I'm not a man, I'm not a person, I'm not myself, I'm a teacher. And what a teacher does is poke, provoke, confront, and elevate. Poke, provoke, confront, elevate. And he was relentless for 37 years. When he passed away, I exhaled. Wow. Because what he was doing the whole time is he was shaping me. As he did all of those that decided to stay around in the organization. About 15 years into this, I was ready to quit. The marriage wasn't doing very well. I didn't like my business. I was tired of wearing a turban. Nobody liked me, you know, all kind of stuff. And one day, he would teach in Los Angeles twice a week, and we'd go in and we'd be at class. After class, he looked at me, he pointed his finger, he said, "You're my driver. Tomorrow, show up at 10 a.m. And from there on out, the magic of my life began to take hold, because I was next to a living yogi master for the next 15 years. And yeah, I'd be driving in the car, I'd look over thinking, oh my God, you know, it's the real deal over there, you know. And he was bigger than life. He had this clarity to him that when you went in front of him, it was like a mirror to everything that you were. So it's almost like you were standing naked in front of him. It was very confronting. And yet he was very compassionate, but yet just being in his presence was very, very difficult. And he was a big man. He could yell at you, he could cry with you. He had this whole range of emotion depending upon what you needed. So if he was yelling at this person and he was being sweet to this person, well, you'd get scared of him because he was doing this thing over here, you know. And he had this personal relationship with every student. So I started driving for him. I'll give you one story here. I started driving for him. And of course, my father was what? A football coach, okay? Flat top haircut and all this stuff, okay? So I had a lot of father phobias, okay? Authority and father, you know. So the first couple weeks I was driving, I hardly could open my mouth. I was so scared of this human being, you know, bigger than life. And so I drove for him for 3 weeks. Every day I had to show up. He'd run errands, he'd go here, he'd go there, he'd meet with VIPs, he'd do all kinds of things. And I was by his side the whole time. And after 3 weeks, I couldn't do it anymore. It was too confronting. And I didn't show up the next day. And I was waiting for the phone call. Well, where are you? Where are you? And nobody called. And then day 2 came. And nobody called. And then the third day came. And I thought, well, somebody's bound to call, wondering where I had no calls. And I thought, oh, this can't be any worse. You know, here I am. I've given this great honor to be next to him, because you couldn't get close to him because they always had this circle of people around him, and he was an international figure and things. So it was difficult to be close to him. And here I was, granted that gift of serving him personally, serving this teacher. And after 4 days, I decided, I'm done. I'm out of here. I packed up my bags, I put my stuff in a suitcase. I was going to leave because the shame was too great. And he was teaching that night. And I thought, well, why don't I just go see him one last time? Just to have a glimpse of him, so I'll have something to remember. So I snuck in the back door. He would teach at the yoga center there. It was just a few blocks away. There were about 60, 70 people in the room. I came in through the back. I snuck in, you know, and I sat down. You know, I didn't want anybody to see me. You know, what would they think of me? You know, where have you been, Sada? You know, and class ended, and I was sneaking out the back, and I just took one glance over my shoulder, and it was like the parting of the Red Sea. Everybody went like this, and on the teacher's bench, back with some pillows, was the yogi, and he was doing this. And I thought, oh, crap. You know. So I'm walking up there, you know, and I see all the faces on either side. It's like this tunnel, you know, and you're coming up there. And I got about 10 feet from him, and he opened his arms. And I ran into his arms. And I started to cry. And he whispered in my ear, he said, I'm a jealous lover. He says, when a day goes by without the sight of you, it's hard for me. And so that was the day that I gave my head to my teacher, and I became a student. And for the next 12 to 15 years, it was hell. But I learned from a master. I learned the power of surrender. My wife runs the bookstore at Seattle Unity Church. One day I was going through some of the books, and here was a book, quotes of Mother Teresa. And I thought, okay, Mother Teresa, what do you have for Sada today? You know, I was kind of like that. So I opened it up, and she said, the only thing we own in this life is our power of surrender. And I thought, wow, that was my relationship that I had with my teacher. And when I learned that, I was able, when I was able actually to do that, and that was through the power of his compassion and love, I was able to become more learned. He taught me integrity. He taught me courage. He taught me a sense of fearlessness, a great sense of myself, who I am. And little did I know that these facets and faculties that I live with now, that I even had at all. And so I'm very grateful for this relationship. So this whole Dharma means truth, this path of truth that I'm on, really has a lot to do with my relationship with my teacher. And he was a Sikh. So of course I became a Sikh. And so all of this that you see is called Bana. It's the form of a Sikh. And there's reasons for that. There's yogic reasons and there's dharmic reasons for that. But I'm very grateful for what he delivered to me, what he gave to me. And I'm grateful now that I can share some of these things and these qualities, especially through this beautiful thing called Kundalini Yoga that I teach at Seattle Unity Church. And I'm very grateful for Unity that opened their arms to me when I came here. So I'm very, very grateful for this experience. So thank you all for having, oh, I'm going to do it going. Okay, so here we go. Let's do something yogic, okay? Usually when people are just looking at me and I'm talking too much, I just have them start doing leg lifts and then it feels okay, you know. But I'm going to just take a few minutes here and I'm going to play this thing called a gong. Okay, so I'm a yogi. I understand that to get through into the mind and to affect the mind, that I'm going to use my body. Okay, that's what yogis do. So we take the body, we take the mind, and we take spirit, and we vitalize all three. We bring them into balance, and that's the experience of yoga. We work the body, the glandular system comes into balance. We chant the mantra, the mind is cleared, comes into balance. With mantra, we awaken the soul, we vibrate the soul vibrates, comes into balance. And we bring all three together. That's called yoga, or yoging the three qualities. And that's what we do in every class in Kundalini Yoga. One of the great transformational tools that we have is this thing called a gong. Okay? So I said, what did Marilyn say? There is one. Remember I told you the first three words of the Sikh scripture? Ek, Onkar, Ong, O-N-G, Ong. Say that with me. Om, long, 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 long. Okay. So we've heard of Om, haven't we? What's Om? God. Okay. Om is the unmanifestation of the divine. Have we all read Proof of Heaven? He goes to the other side, a near-death experience. He goes to the other side. What does he hear? Om. But the creative aspect, this physical world, this creative world, we're part of this creative experience. This is Om, because Om has an earth element to it, not just ether. If you were just to chant Om all the time, Yogi Bhajan would tell us that even eventually your underwear would fly away, okay? So we chant the Om, which is the creative aspect of the divine. And this in itself is called a gong. So Om and gong, okay? It took me about 20 years to put those two together, okay? So I'm going to just play this for you. And what I'd like you to do is not even to listen. I just want you to relax into it. There's no effort involved here. The idea is you just relax and allow this gong. It doesn't, your mind will do things, it'll go here, it'll go there, that's okay. If you can just sit with this gong just for about 3 minutes here, and just allow these vibrations, the waves of overtones and vibrations to wash through you, we'll have a little bit of an experience, okay? So, Let's do this. Just bring your hands into your lap now. And gently relax the muscles in your face. Allow the eyelids to become heavy. Don't even tighten them because we don't want anything really tightened. Just allow those eyelids to become heavy. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths together to help us relax. Let's take a deep inhale now through the nose. And through the nose again, exhale. Good. Let's do that again. Inhale. And exhale. Each time you exhale, just relax deeper into yourself. And one more time, inhale deeply. And exhale. And let's relax. Just relax. And exhale. And just move your toes a little bit. Move your fingers a little bit. Again, deeply inhale. And exhale. And gently open your eyes. So thank you so much for having me today. It's such a pleasure to be with all of you.
Hard act to follow.
This moving around up here is a little confusing, but we're almost ready. This is another John Denver song. As you know, I love John Denver. And when I used to play the guitar a little, and I would sing all his songs. So it just kept going and kept going. So here's another one called Rhymes and Reasons. So you speak to me of sadness and the coming of the winter. Fear that is within you now, that seems to never end. And the dreams that have escaped you, and the hope that you've forgotten. And you tell me that you need me now, and you want to be my friend. And you wonder where we're going, where's the rhyme and where's the reason, and that you cannot accept. It is here we must begin to seek the wisdom of the children, and the graceful way of flowers in the wind. For the children and the flowers are my sisters and my brothers. Their laughter and their loveliness would clear a cloudy day, like the music of the mountains and the colors of the rainbow. They're a promise of the future and a blessing for today. For the children and the flowers are my sisters and my brothers. Their laughter and their loveliness would clear a cloudy day, like the music of the mountains and the colors of the rainbow. They're a promise of the future and a blessing for today.
You are.
We are so blessed
You're blessed
to
today.
have you. Okay, so now it's time for our offertory and the lighting of the candles. As you're preparing your tithes and love offerings today, think about how blessed you are, and as you are writing your check or giving your gift, send your blessings out.
I am so
Okay, could we get Debbie and Kimberly up for blessing the offering?
Together we dedicate these gifts in service to the highest mission, recognizing and celebrating our oneness with God. We joyfully and freely participate in the law of circulation, of giving and receiving, knowing God is source, the source of all good. We are grateful.
Thank you. We have not any empty bags for the Food for Life. So if there is anybody that is willing to, is so called to bring something next week, then we invite you to bring your own bag.
I forgot to take it home last week, so I'm taking it home today.
Okay, great. Thank you. It's time for good news. And I want to, during good news, thank Debbie, our chaplain, one of our chaplains, who took home the prayer shawls and shortened them for those of average height that they don't hang down to our knees anymore.
All right.
I think Marilyn seconds that.
Those of us of average height have
Yes.
trouble with it.
Yes.
How are you gonna keep your knees warm?
That's what long pants are for.
Oh.
Anybody else with some good news? Cindy?
I have a little something.
We received a beautiful thank you card from Reverend Joanna Gabriel, and I wanted to share this with everybody. She says, "My dear friends, thank you so much for the generous tithe that you shared with me. I am grateful not only for the gift, but also for the generous spirit you all share with me every time I visit Unity of Bremerton. The spiritual community that you are is an inspiration to me and to all who have the blessing of experiencing who you are. Love and light, Joanna Gabriel." Also just wanted to share a little something. Alea Boucher joined us recently for a few times, and she's going through some difficulties right now. So if you could include her in your prayers.
Who?
Alea. She's been here, a really sweet lady. So Alea, you're in our thoughts and prayers.
Oh, that's nice.
Can I do a good news and a kind of a sad news?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So the good news is that a lot of you know I make Seahawks hats, children's and adults, but mostly children's, with the NFL emblem on them and everything, and I've done really quite well with it. Well, on Bainbridge Island there's a shop, and they've been over there for a long time, and now she has a shop in Pike Place Market in Seattle. And so my hats will be there.
Wow!
So I will double up on my knitting, I'll tell you. And the other news, and Lynn has given me permission to talk about this. Lynn has just lost her job. She's having, at least for the next few weeks, a little bit of trouble getting by. And I think it would be wonderful if we could help her out a little bit today, just, whatever you can do. And that's what Unity is all about, so, anyway.
Thank you so much. I was at my job for 16 years. 16 years, yeah.
Shock.
So you guys in here are just like family to me. I love each and every one of you.
You lost it too for a stupid reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will hold you in prayer for that, for whatever's coming next. And so, you have some good news?
Yes, I'll second on yoga. Because I've been a student and teacher for just about 50 years. And Unity was where I started, in Seattle Unity in the 70s, actually teaching yoga. And that was when, yes, it was that strange, that people didn't have a lot to do with. But I will say that I just reached Friday was my 75th birthday, and I've never done any kind of drugs of any sort. So breathing and yoga works. Beautiful, and the sound of movement. So.
Natural high.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Millie. Happy birthday to you. From all of us.
Okay, now if we could stand and take a hand and do our peace song.
There be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us. The presence of God watches over us.